First, I'd say your growth people need to have a mindset that they think more like a general manager or an operator when they're looking at the business and thinking about the whole business health, not just the marketing, MQL, SQL, conversion stuff. You need to look, what is the CAC? What is your LTV? What's your payback period? What's your activation rate, free trial to paid? If you're in that model, you got to move past impressions and just MQLs. How much pipeline, sales accepted pipeline or sales qualified pipeline are you producing? And then what's that translating into closed won revenue? And then looking at the retention. Are there renewals? Is this the cohort that you brought in 6 months ago still with the business? And if they're with the business, are they expanding? Are they contracting at renewal time? What's that behavior like? Those are the metrics and the business data you need to be able to see what channels and what verticals are leading to the best outcomes.
Hey everyone, this is Kevin Kerner with Tech Marketing Rewired. Hope you guys are doing well today. Today I had the opportunity to talk to Rob Freedman of EZO. I wanted to reach out to him because we've heard so much about growth marketing roles and just growth marketing in general over the last year. And it seems kind of to me like a buzzword that I just had to figure out. But I know there's value in it. And I needed to talk with someone who's in the role, who was in the role, who could set me straight. So I had a great conversation with Rob. In addition to sort of helping me define growth marketing, he talked about 4 critical areas: experimentation, data, cross-functional alignment, and tying into an ecosystem as ways that he has found success in a growth marketing role. It really helped me a lot and clarified what growth marketing is, what a growth role is, and I think people will get a lot out of it as they're thinking about expanding marketing beyond just traditional demand generation. So it was a really great conversation. But before we get started, I wanted to mention that this podcast is sponsored by my company, Mighty and True. Mighty and True helps CMOs and senior marketing leaders take strategies that may be stuck because of lack of resources or lack of core expertise and move them forward quickly using our Mighty and True team of technology marketing experts and our systems-driven agency approach that we call Flow. Who doesn't like a good system? If you want more information about Mighty and True, you can find us at www.mightyandtrue.com. So that's it. I can't wait for you to hear this one. Let's get to it. This is Tech Marketing Rewired. Rob, welcome to the show. I'm happy to have you here.
I'm excited. Thanks, Kevin, for inviting me on.
Yeah, thanks so much. As we jump into things, can you give me I did a quick intro right before this, but can you give your own quick intro to your role and what you do at EZO?
Yeah, so EZO, I'm the VP of Marketing and Partnerships. So I oversee the global marketing team and our partnerships for EZO and all 4 of our asset management solutions.
Yeah, it was great to have you on. As I mentioned in the warm up here, I kind of sought you out cold for the show to help us deconstruct what is a super buzzwordy term, which is this growth marketing. It seems to be everywhere right now. And I think what I was hoping you could do is help us sort of move away from the theory, given your background, because you have such a strong growth background. Now you're a VP of marketing. Get more into the tactical sort of playbook around growth. What does it actually look like, especially towards going into 2026? There's so much there to unpack. So I'd like to kind of start at the tops.
Sure.
There's a term, growth marketing. As I mentioned, it's everywhere. What do you think growth marketing is? What's your definition of growth marketing?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think it's synonymous with traditional demand gen. And I think there are some technical differences between traditional demand gen roles and growth roles. And I think traditional demand gen can be often kind of siloed and more focused on just top of the funnel. I think its goals are very much just pound in those MQLs, and I think this is where you see a lot of wasteful demand gen spending. You hit your MQL target, sales team complains leads are junk, churn is high, it creates friction, no one likes this. And that's where growth marketing kind of steps in. It's much more full funnel from the first touch of acquisition and activation of them all the way through retention, and then making them be your evangelist, helping them refer business to you, and they become like you're an evangelist for your business. So, a growth marketer is just as obsessed with customer churn as they are with customer acquisition.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I hear the term growth, I immediately think the sales organization. I immediately think just demand gen sales. But what
Right.
you're saying is it goes beyond that, right?
Goes beyond that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It has to be that full experience from the moment they learn of your brand to the point where they're renewing and you got your land and expand opportunities and stuff like that.
Hmm. And you were in a growth role before, your current role. Now you're in a VP, a marketing role. I guess that function has expanded somewhat, but
Yes.
how do you look at the growth role in a VP of marketing or let's say CMO type role versus if you're actually assigned the growth role as the person running growth? Is there a difference?
There is a difference. There is a difference. But uh, I look at the role of a growth person as being more mindset. So you can be a VP of marketing. I like to think I am one who also is a growth person. It may not be in my title, but titles are kind of meaningless in a sense, especially in B2B SaaS and startup worlds.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really a mindset. you know and so you may have head of growth in your title, but your job isn't to do all things growth, just like the VP of marketing doesn't do all things marketing. It's to build an engine, to build a machine, to run experimentation across process that allows the product, the marketing, the sales, the customer success to all grow together. And that's how I kind of look at the difference. It's really more of a mindset. You can have one title or the other. It's just how you approach things. And maybe it's how a company approaches things from the beginning, from the outset, when they're looking for a new leader, is they're thinking they want a VP of marketing, but you start talking to them and start finding out what the goals of the organization are, and it might actually be that growth leader that they need.
Yeah, it's growth. I mean, growth is a very attractive word. Like, do you want
Yeah.
growth? Do you want marketing? Yeah. Do you want growth? Yes. We definitely want growth.
And there's a big difference. Like, you
Yeah.
can do marketing without wanting to drive massive growth. So there are companies, and I've worked with some, where multi, 4x, 8x, whatever, 10x growth was not the goal. The goal was something else. And maybe it's to, much more, steady 20% growth. They wanted
Customer
something,
retention,
customer retention. They
expansion.
wanted to maybe just focus on a specific vertical or a feature launch, and they just, or maybe it's a rebranding and they really wanted to just reimagine their. So yes, yeah, growth mode is something you shift into and out of.
Yeah, that's super interesting. One more question, and I want to get in a little bit of your playbook. You mentioned growth mindset, which I think is right, getting in a growth mindset. Why do you think that is? Why do you think the thing's trending? The word growth is trending right now. Is it more, has something happened in the industry that's made it more compelling? Or is it just a new term, sort of new branding of something?
Yeah, I think part of it is, um, there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of margin compression in B2B SaaS. So I think you have people in the VC and PE world who are looking for better returns. And I think there's also this more modern mindset happening where it's like, hey, how are we going to grow, but not just in this one very narrow space? What does partnerships look like? Which is why my role has expanded from marketing to marketing and partnerships. It's like, how are we going to build an ecosystem around our solution, not just Google ads, not just paid social or whatever. Is like these very narrow things, and looking at things like full funnel and how are we going to surround our ICP and from multiple vantage points.
Yeah, the best growth people I know, and you probably want to, do this, you probably already know this, but they're very scrappy. They're very creative and scrappy. Like they're finding these paths to market or these paths to growth that you just wouldn't think of as a demand gen marketer. They're just creative in the ways that they find pockets of revenue or pockets of growth.
Yeah, it's really about building a system, and it's rescoping of marketing from a department to a full funnel revenue engine.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. That's a good segue because this is one of the core things that I wanted to deconstruct with you. If you move away from just the theory that a lot of people talk about, you're building this growth engine every day, I'm sure, in your current role and certainly in your previous roles. If you had to identify just a few, I want to dig into the 3 or 4 non-negotiable pillars that you need for a modern growth engine, particularly in the upcoming year. What would let's dig into those. What would they be?
Yeah, I think 2026 needs to be the year of experimentation. So my number one pillar is high velocity experimentation. Follow
Hmm.
that up with radical cross functional alignment. The third pillar, you got to have the right data, clean data. And 4, ecosystem and life cycle leverage. And that's kind of building this community or this ecosystem around your solutions.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Let's dig into the first one, experimentation. How do you practice? There's so many ways now with AI and data, and it's incredible. How do you practically implement it? What
Yeah,
does it look like in 2026?
I think growth should be like a lab model instead of a campaign model. And I kind of harken back to Lockheed Martin Skunk Works. Your marketing team needs to have a Skunk Works. You need to have this radical experimentation, try something that's out of the box, do something that your competitors aren't doing, harness a little bit of the energy and budget to try something really cool. So you need a system to do that. You need to ideate, you need to gather ideas from all teams. Like and currently at EZO, we open up the floor for product, CS, sales, the dev team, accounting. Bring us content, bring us ideas, bring us things. One of our best performing blogs of the year came from one of our someone on our in-house legal team wrote
Wow,
a blog on compliance for our target audience,
that's cool.
and it's getting picked up by the LLMs. It's ranking well. It's like I was like, big shout out to her. Who knew that one of our best pieces was going to come out of legal, right? And then you need to prioritize. You need to use a framework like ICE, impact, confidence, and ease to really prioritize what you're going to do, what's going to have the biggest impact, what do you have high confidence in, and what's actually easy to execute on, what's doable that's not going to already tax your already probably highly taxed team. And then run the test with the smallest possible scope that still could give meaningful results. And then did it work? I don't know. Probably not. Maybe. If yes, scale it. If no, scrap it and share that learning with others and document it. That's the other thing. Please document experiments. I know I've been at places where it's like I've lived this conversation before because we never documented it properly.
I had Udi Lettergore from Gong on the podcast, a few podcasts ago, and of course they do a great job at like really creative experimental content. Just
I love
incredible.
that.
Their stuff is so good. He was talking about 2 things. One, he was saying the experiments would usually outperform just the blocking and tackling stuff. So I'm curious whether you see the same thing. And then the second thing he said was that he would literally budget for experimentation, like 15% of the budget he knew he was going to use for experiments. So do you have any of that similar experience in your past that's similar to that?
Yeah, we definitely keep a chunk of our budget for experiments. Known right off the bat, that's what we're going to do for the quarter, expenditure wise. And then sometimes they do. Sometimes they hit home runs. Sometimes you try things, you're like, wow, that actually worked, and that becomes something new, whether it be an event or a campaign or a new piece of content or a new like lead gen gateway for people. But then sometimes they don't all win. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. That the other thing that I think is important, excuse me, it's a little scary to do experiments in certain organizations because if you mess up, you're toast. I'm wondering, how do you build a culture that accepts failure like that or mistakes? Do you have to purposely try to build that into your marketing culture?
You do. And in fact, your whole company culture has to support this, because if other people, other parts of the org see experiments that fail, they might see that as wasted time, wasted money, wasted effort. And if they're not in their verticals and their departments safe to try experiments and fail, they're not going to give you the same leeway. And so I think it needs to be a company wide culture. And I've been very fortunate to work at ones that not only support experimentation, but they reward it too. This is, you bring us an idea, and good ideas can come from anywhere. I want to try them. And if they work, you get rewarded for that. If they work, you get a bonus, you get something like extra as well. So both personally, so you win, the company wins, the customer wins. This is like the great, when you do have to bake it into your culture.
Yeah, so that's really important. And it's the Gong example I used before, same thing there. They had a leadership team that was very supportive of experimentation and mistakes.
Well, when you budget for it, I think that means you got your CFO, your CEO, you've got everybody's in on it, and everyone is agreed that yes, this is a known risk. There may be a zero ROI on this spend. Now, my experience shows there's usually very good ROI and very good learnings that can be applied in other places. So, but
Yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Okay, let's talk about another pillar you mentioned, which is data. That's been a term for decades now. I imagine that's changing for 2026. How do you think about data, signals, metrics that you're monitoring most obsessively as you're in this growth mindset?
yeah. First, I say your growth people need to have a mindset that they think more like a general manager or an operator when they're looking at the business and thinking about the whole business health, not just the marketing, MQL, SQL, conversion stuff. You need to look, what is the CAC? What is your LTV? What's your payback period? What's your activation rate, free trial to paid, if you're in that model? You got to move past impressions and just MQLs. How much pipeline, sales accepted pipeline or sales qualified pipeline are you producing? And then what's that translating into closed won revenue? And then looking at the retention. Are there's renewals? Is this the cohort that you brought in 6 months ago still with the business? And if they're with the business, are they expanding? Are they contracting at renewal time? What's that behavior like? Those are the metrics of the business data you need to be able to see what channels and what verticals are leading to the best outcomes.
Yeah, that's cool. But that there again, it's kind of a cultural thing too, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
I love the term, I hadn't heard it before, but general manager. But think of like a person in your organization who thinks like a an owner of a business in their department. There's so much silo when you're in marketing or potentially even a growth role that you're only worried about these things. There again, culturally, how do you get past people just wanting to hit the metrics of their thing?
Part of it is with shared shared pain and reward. So with me and the sales team, we share the SQL growth targets. We share
Yeah.
those. So we have to work together if we want to be mutually successful. And then also talking to, what's the customer facing metrics that you're looking at? Those you're working with your product team on those and making sure that those are aligned with what the marketing team is doing and supporting and talking about in its content, and that the sales team is using in their demos, and onboarding is not upset that we're all making false promises. So it really, you have to be aligned, and part of it is with shared metrics, that's one way.
Yeah. That's a perfect segue into one of I think it was the third one you mentioned, which was alignment. It's growth seems like you're saying is growth sits at the intersection of marketing and product and say it's just it's interconnected to everything, which again I think is a different mindset for marketers to sometimes think, that way.
Oh,
From the VP seat that you're in, what are the specific tactics for building and maintaining alignment? Is it a meeting or dashboard, OKR? You mentioned OKR sort of measurement. How do you make it stick?
That is a very good question. I think there's you know, when you need to work, growth doesn't happen in a marketing silo. Okay. And is it clean? Definitely not. I think it can be very messy, especially in uh, high growth companies and startups. Is sales working the leads? Is the feedback loop instant? And I think a lot of marketers know this, that most of the leaks in your funnel happen at the handoff points. And working with, and one of the, I feel a lot of people talk about the sales and marketing handoff and that relationship. The relationship I don't see spoken about enough, and I'd love to hear your standpoint on this, is the marketing and product relationship. And growth marketing or growth positions should be a key input for the product roadmap, and collecting that feedback from the customers, from doing win-loss analysis, especially on the loss analysis, like where were those gaps? And I've done those at almost every role that I've been at, where even I'm calling up customers or prospects who didn't choose us, and have asked them to open up and talk about why. And if it's a product gap and something, and making sure that the team hears that feedback. And if it's something that we can build or address quickly, maybe rescue a deal, or at the very least, have it ready for the next one that comes down the line.
Yeah, I love that. I love the product side of things. If you play that forward a little bit more, if you are close to product, and yeah, and I think the other thing about product is, especially now in the AI age, is product is changing so fast and competitors are entering so fast. It's just crazy. So staying close to product is important. But play that the next step. What do you take from product that you can use in your growth strategy?
Yeah, there's a few things. I think I talk about three gaps by the by segment, by the deal impact and the effort to build. And if we ship one quick fix per quarter that's tied to that, you know we should see faster sales cycles, we might see higher win rates. And I always ask, would that be useful? And I go back, what I take from the product team is a healthy respect for how hard it is to build
Yeah,
sometimes. That I
indeed.
understand, there's only so many complexity points that are available to build something. And just because I'm like, hey, this feature would be great, or this integration would be wonderful, I understand there's realities that sometimes make that difficult, and understanding those timelines and when we can go to market with something.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's very super helpful. So I got through the three of them: experimentation, data, cross functional alignment. The fourth was, remind me what the fourth one was.
Fourth one, building that ecosystem and the
I
life
love it.
cycle
Love it.
levers.
That's man, how did I miss that? That's a
It's
big
all
that's
good.
a biggie. Okay, talk about that a little more tactically. What do you mean by
Yeah.
ecosystem?
I mean, so this is the kind of the partnership side of my brain working. It's like growth isn't just what you do, but it's also how you leverage others. How do you tap into other people's audiences and finding those partnerships? And partnerships, I look at them as, you have your technical partnerships. So those are the ones that yeah, what integrations do you build? How can you both jointly go to market? I'll give you an example right now. Both at Zuper and at Ezio, we had relationships with Zendesk. And it's like, how can, like, Asset Sonar, our IT asset management solution, how can that plus Zendesk ticketing solution be more powerful than some of the solutions that Zendesk is running up against, who have ITAM and ticketing together and bundled into one thing, and how actually ours together gives you a more robust solution and more powerful solution with better reporting, etc. So thinking about those types of relationships, how we tap into Zendesk's ecosystem, and they tap into ours. So we run into people who are like, hey, this is great, but we need ticketing. Well, we don't offer that. Let us introduce you to Zendesk. And it works really well that way.
Yeah, I love that. I was talking to the VP of marketing at Mo Engage, and he calls it built-in virality. Every piece of content they create has to have some built-in connection to someone in the ecosystem because they get twice the amount of effect. It's just super smart. It's like, why not? Why not do that? Especially if you have willing partners.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, totally agree with that. Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about growth in the AI era because I know there's so many ways that AI can fuel this. So much of it is human that you've just mentioned. It's cultural. It's building relationships. It's those type of things. But have you seen AI deliver anything specifically beyond, like, let's say, just writing copy in this growth system that you put together?
Yeah, definitely more. Well, it comes up in the marketing product relationship, given the pace of AI. I like monthly, product marketing syncs where we review competitor launches and map them to our roadmap and update our messaging and AI helps with that. Their AI helps us monitor the new releases and stuff and watches for those different triggers and bubbles that up for us to talk about. So where, I see, AI content is just like the entryway. The real transformation is in process workflows, helping with SEO and AEO and promotional stuff. And then also, again, in that building out product features and helping us, do that competitive analysis and keeping an eye on the marketplace for us at scale.
Yeah, that's cool. Given that all of the 4 things you mentioned have both, soft skills, and then there's some hard skills in them too, and now you have AI on top of that.
Yeah,
Looking forward to the future year, how does it change? Does it change the skills you hire for, or does it
it does.
inform them? So tell me about that.
It
What do
is.
you look for?
Yeah, I mean, because I think right now, AI is definitely beyond first drafts of content,
Yeah.
and this is where instead of just writing copy, AI is becoming really the central nervous system of the entire marketing or GTM org, not just marketing. This is how are we using? So we use HubSpot, HubSpot's Breeze for stuff. We use several other AI tools and all of it is plugged into helping the sales team prep for calls, helping the CS prep for calls, helping us review uh you know more accurate insights and look for signals within the noise that maybe a human would have missed or didn't have time to dig that deep because of just it being more manual. Like now this completely automates things and it helps us with deep personalization of our messaging and helping doing that at scale, which these are tasks that could take hours to do it well, to do it right. And this is leveling us up to be able to do it in almost like real time.
Yeah, I've been blown away by some of the personalization, particularly email personalization. There's so much schlocky email. You probably get them. It's like, oh gosh, this is terrible. But there are some of the AI I've seen has just been so good. Conversational AI in email, it's just been so good. It's so human-like.
Oh,
It's
there's this
hard to
one tool.
discern.
Yeah. No, but it's true. There's this one tool where I was engaging with, and it was an AI, and it was having a conversation, an email conversation
Yeah,
with it.
yeah,
It was really accurate.
yeah, but then there's ones that are like, "Oh, this is no good." I'm really impressed with the, SDR. Some of the SDR AI, like Qualified, does a really good job at the conversation back and forth on a website, and you can't really tell
Yeah.
that it's not a human. So that's only gonna carry forward, and it's just for a growth oriented person, it's just taking the mundane stuff, and it's just, like, making it happen at scale, things you just couldn't notice, like you mentioned. It's really pretty exciting times. Okay, this has been fantastic. I wanted to kind of bring all this home for the audience. If there's a marketing leader or CMO that wants to implement some of these things for a growth mindset and they wanted to start like today, what are 2 or 3 things that they could do immediately to get started with some of these concepts?
Yeah. I mean, first is stop just doing growth and start building a growth system. Back to that, it's a mindset of experimentation, getting the right data, and then cross alignment across the org. And so the very first thing is start thinking about what experiment do you want to do? What's the one thing you've been always dreaming of trying? Just make it happen. Make budget, get people aligned and okay with it and comfortable with it, and then execute that. The second thing, takeaway, go fix your data. And find like that one vanity metric your team loves, like say MQLs, replace it with a business metric, SQLs, or 7-day pipeline velocity, or something like that. Just find some business metric, the measure that's better than one of these vanity metrics that we often talk about. And then third one I'd say is go talk to your customers. Go listen. Go talk to the customers who churned or the ones who said no to sales, but looked like they were getting down to that. You knew you were down into like the final two. What was the thing that broke one way or the other? And those insights are worth more than any new ad campaign you could put together. It's a great use of your time as a leader. I feel that's stuff I like to do myself, and then start thinking about answer engine optimization. You can ask LLMs, you know, why did you not cite my brand? This brand, make sure
Yeah.
you're in anonymous mode. So they don't know you work for the company because they're eager to please, but, find out why they're not citing you and then find out where the gap is. And I'll give you an example. We asked it, hey, why did you not cite Asset Sonar, EZO's Asset Sonar for enterprise as an enterprise ITAM solution? And it said, this is why. It showed us our own blog. It
Whoa,
said,
that's
well, here,
crazy.
because in your blog, you talk about mid-market companies and you talk about this, and these are all mid-sized companies. And it also referred to our customer stories and it goes, yeah, these are all mid-market companies. And they're like, yeah, it's great solution for mid-market. I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
our own stuff.
I'm dying to try that, Rob. I'm dying to go immediately check that about Mighty and True, my own company.
Exactly. So you ask it some questions and then you're like, oh. So then we were like, talk to our partnered with CS, like, hey, let's get some customer stories from our enterprise
Yeah.
customers that we
Yeah.
can get published. We were shifting our priorities and our energies in those directions. Like, we learned
Well,
something today.
have you seen any, have you done anything? I love that idea. Have you done anything that you've seen work with AEO about any of the content, the way you structure it or schema markup, or are you doing anything that's working?
We think a couple things are working well. One is that content gap, asking the LLMs why it suggests us in one light versus another
And
light.
addressing that. Yeah.
But then also, we actually put a "Hey LLM, Hey AI, learn about us" link in our footer, and created a nice structured document that answers a lot of questions in a very nice, clean way. And we've added more FAQs to all of our pages, including some of our money pages, adding FAQs about like pricing, FAQs around this, and some pages that may not traditionally have pricing, but answer the question, you know, how is our pricing structured? What is it? What's fair usage policies, blah, blah, blah. And just really being out there and trying to structure the information a way that we see the LLMs looking at. And then finally, Reddit, being more active on Reddit.
Interesting.
When we see people talking about our brand, engaging with them and either correcting them when they have a misnomer about what it can or cannot do, and then also offering up our solution as a potential solution. If someone has a, hey, what do you recommend? Making sure that we're getting in mentioned more often than not.
That's interesting. Has your traffic from AI gone up? Have you back to your site, can you see any of
Yeah.
your traffic actually increasing? Is it
Yeah.
driving any leads?
It is driving leads. It's actually driving SQLs,
Huh,
and it's
that's awesome.
starting to drive. Earlier this year, we were seeing a nice steady 25% month over month improvement in LLM traffic. And now we're starting to see not just MQLs, but SQLs,
Yeah,
come through the
congratulations,
pipeline.
that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
that's an awesome
We
case
need
study.
more. We need more. We need to scale it up, but we're starting to learn over the last, say, 6 months what works and what's starting to move the needle. So,
Yeah, way to go. Yeah, we're seeing quite a bit of traffic too. I haven't done some of those things, but what we have done is we've added, H2s as questions, so that
yeah,
seems to be more,
love that.
and then, dates. So we put update dates in the H1 or the, like, updated October 2025, and then we updated it into September and, like,
Well, that's a
changed a
good
few things.
idea. I've not
So
tried that.
yeah, try that. That has
I
gotten
will.
us, uh
I'm going to write that down, actually. Like, actually, that's a good one.
we have one of our blog posts, which is a really good one. It's 2025 Q4 2025 and all of 2026 marketing events you must attend. And it's got every, big marketing event. Uber optimized it for AI. So it's a little AI and inside has a table on it of all the events. Then it talks about the event,
Yeah,
has
but
the date in it, has the
good.
H2's as questions, and that thing is it's just blowing up. It's the best thing we've ever done, and I think it's mostly AI traffic. So it's really kind of fun. It's sort of like the days when social media launched and you weren't quite sure what was going to happen with anything. You didn't know how to
Right.
do it. It's really pretty crazy. The other thing I'll ask you is the stuff that comes through an AI search, like if we get a lead and someone said, and we find out, hey, yeah, we found you through ChatGPT. It seems like for us in our category that we're almost like pre-vetted. Like the company, they're almost more biased towards selecting us because the AI had told them that we were, the top whatever. Are you seeing that AI? There's any better qualification where they move forward along the funnel or funnel velocity? Is any of that happening with AI leads?
Absolutely. The few that we are starting to see come through the funnel, the percentage of the conversion rates from lead to MQL, MQL to SQL are much higher than any other channel, except for
Wow.
maybe direct referral
Well, that's cool.
from a partner or something. But yeah, it's much more efficient than, say, like paid social
Yeah.
or Google Ads even.
Golly, man, that gives us all a lot of hope, doesn't it? Like if we can figure it out. I think they will add a add function to certainly OpenAI will because they need to find a way to make money.
They need to find a way to make money. Google needs to recover money that they're losing from their
Yeah.
own AI mode and own Gemini stuff. So yeah, it's coming.
There's some they're not going to lose money forever. They want to make money. Okay, cool. There's one more thing I do on the show, which is a AI roulette question. So I put your name, a little bit about what we're going to talk about here, and then I hit send, and it gives me a question from Perplexity. So let me go ahead and hit send on this, and I haven't seen what this question is going to be.
Okay.
There we go.
I'm excited and nervous.
Okay, this is interesting because wow. It must have looked at your LinkedIn and found your for like experimentation and cross-functional alignment because it mentions them here. Most growth models are built on human-led experimentation and deep cross-functional alignment, which you've mentioned. But as AI becomes more powerful, it can run thousands of micro experiments and analyze data far better than a human. Does the growth marketer role eventually get automated by a growth AI that reports directly to the CRO?
That is a good question.
Well,
Does it eventually get AI? I I could actually see that happening. No, but
really?
I mean, not in the near future. I think a lot can be done by AI and automated, but there is still that need to have a human in the loop. You need to have that. I don't see a future where I am overseeing a team of AI agents. I do see a future where, I see AI running micro tests and surfacing signals to the team. I see it maybe doing some more of the experimentation stuff and seeing what's going on. And I can see it helping us deciding what parts of the roadmap align best to our ICP, what helping us stay true to our brand. I can see that. Really, I think the future of AI and marketing and in terms of marketing teams is really you'll have smaller marketing teams of really intelligent people who know how to leverage AI to do some of these things. But there's still going to be a marketing leader, and whether or not they roll up to a CRO is that's possible.
Yeah,
But
I
it's not going to just be a CRO and a bunch of AI marketing
automated
agents.
bots doing all the
That's
work.
not
Yeah.
going to happen.
Oh, well, I think you've sort of made the case through the discussion too, is there's so much creativity involved in the growth thing, especially the routes to market stuff, like how you can get I don't think that human creativity can be replaced. It can be accelerated perhaps or added to from AI, but like what you've told me here makes me think even more that you're gonna have to have a lot of human ingenuity and craftiness to to really do this thing right, and all, certainly sped
Yeah.
up by all the AI stuff that can go
I
on.
mean, yeah, and the more I've been kind of thinking about it, since you said it's like I'd pilot a growth co-pilot, KPI stack, with some AI owned metrics. Let's see how the AI likes it, and then can it test
That's right.
deal velocity and variant coverage and stuff like that versus some of the human owned metrics
Yeah.
and see who
Yeah, or
wins.
at least, yeah, check to see which one does better.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. I wanted to mention one thing that I saw on your LinkedIn profile, this Rainshine Foundation. It sounded very interesting to me. I wanted to give you a little bit of time here to explain what it is, the charity itself, and then I'll definitely link to it. It sounds like a really good mission.
Oh, well, thank you, Kevin, for bringing that up. It's a truly a passion project. It's
And you're the founder, right? You founded it.
I'm the founder, current president, founder, and it's an all volunteer, very small organization. We founded it. I think it was 2011 when we finally got our 501c3. We started a little bit before that. What we do is the Rainshine Foundation supports some rural schools in the Northern Democratic Republic of the Congo. So if you're looking on a map, if you see Garamba National Park, which kind of sticks out on that northern hump of the Congo, look to the left of that. Along the Ulele River, there's some small river communities, and we help support schools there. We help support um, medical facility. It's kind of a clinic, and some other small like fresh water and other projects.
Wow, amazing. Have you been there?
I've made a couple of trips myself, and
Wow.
always a member of our board. Other than the years of COVID when travel was restricted, we've had at least one member of our board go every year to visit our projects, and we have an on the ground director and administrator, and we work very tightly on WhatsApp with them. So
Wow, God bless you for doing that. That's some
I,
amazing work. I mean, growth marketing is important, but that's a pretty that's a pretty important mission too. So good, really, really good stuff. Well, this has been great, Rob. I've really enjoyed talking to you. I think I've learned a
likewise.
lot through this conversation. I love the
Yeah, me too.
4 items you mentioned. I love the ICE model that you mentioned. So I'll get all that. I will get everything documented and out there to the world. If people want to get a hold of you to talk through some of this stuff more, how do they find you, and how do we find the Rainshine Foundation as well?
Yeah. So, let's start with Rainshine. They're more important. So RainshineFound, .com, .org, both of them. So you can find us there. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty easy to find, Rob Freedman. And, yeah, I look forward to talking marketing or Rainshine with anybody.
Well, thank you so much, and best of luck to you. And I hope to meet up with you live someday
That'd be
hopefully in
great.
San Marcos, maybe.
That'd be fun. Yeah. Come on down.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks, Kevin.